In the quiet, affluent suburbs of Kansas City, Dr. Deborah Green was the picture of success. A brilliant physician, a devoted mother of 3, and the wife of a fellow doctor, Michael Farrar. From the outside, their life in a sprawling mansion looked like a dream come true. But behind the closed doors of their seemingly perfect home, a storm of secrets, lies, and simmering resentment was about to erupt into a tragedy that would shatter their community. Deborah wasn't just a doctor, she was a woman battling demons few could see. Plagued by a history of mental health struggles and a growing dependence on alcohol, her life was unraveling thread by thread. Her marriage to Michael, once a partnership of equals, had devolved into a bitter power struggle. He saw her as unstable. She saw him as controlling and unfaithful. The tension in their home was a ticking time bomb, and the fuse was getting shorter every day. As their relationship crumbled, Deborah sought comfort elsewhere. She began a series of clandestine affairs with younger men, seeking the validation and excitement that was missing from her life. 1, 2, then 3 different men were drawn into her web. These weren't just casual flings. They were fueled by a desperate need for connection and a reckless disregard for the consequences. She showered them with gifts and attention, but this desperate search for affection only pulled her deeper into a spiral of obsession and paranoia. Meanwhile, Michael was also leading a double life. He had his own affair, and the marriage was hurtling towards a messy divorce. The battle for custody of their children and the division of their considerable assets turned their home into a war zone. Accusations flew, threats were made, and the animosity between them reached a fever pitch. Deborah felt cornered, believing Michael was trying to take everything from her children, her home, her reputation. In her mind, he was the enemy, and she was prepared to do anything to win. Then, things took a sinister turn. A series of mysterious fires began to break out at the family home. First, a small blaze in the library, then another, more serious fire in the master bedroom. Firefighters were baffled. These weren't accidents. Someone was deliberately setting these fires. Michael immediately suspected Deborah, pointing to her increasingly erratic behavior and her history of instability. But Deborah had her own story, painting Michael as the villain, a man who would stop at nothing to destroy her. The police were caught in the middle, trying to untangle a web of he said, she said. The real warning sign, however, came not from fire, but from poison. Michael suddenly fell violently ill. He was hospitalized with symptoms that stumped his own medical colleagues. He suffered excruciating pain, confusion, and near-organ failure. It was a medical mystery until toxicology reports revealed the shocking truth. He was being slowly poisoned. The culprit was ricin, a highly toxic and difficult-to-trace substance derived from castor beans. The investigation immediately zeroed in on Deborah. As a physician, she had the knowledge and access to procure and administer such a deadly poison. The evidence began to stack up. Investigators discovered that Deborah had purchased castor beans, the key ingredient for making ricin. Her computer history showed searches on how to extract the poison. The pieces were falling into place, painting a horrifying picture of a woman methodically plotting to murder her husband. The affairs, the fires, the poison, it all pointed to a mind consumed by rage and a desperate, calculated plan for revenge. But before Michael could fully recover, or the police could make an arrest, the ultimate tragedy struck. On a cold October night, neighbors awoke to the sight of the Farrar mansion engulfed in flames. This was no small fire. This was an inferno. Firefighters arrived to a scene of chaos and horror. Michael, who was not at home that night, could only watch in despair as the home he had built burned to the ground. When the smoke cleared, the terrible truth was revealed. Inside the charred ruins, investigators found the bodies of 2 of the Farrar children, 13-year-old Tim and 6-year-old Kelly. The eldest child, Kate, managed to escape the blaze but was severely burned. The community was left in shock and disbelief. How could this happen? The investigation quickly shifted from arson to a double homicide. All eyes were on Deborah Green. She had been at the house when the fire started. Her story was that she had woken up to the smoke and flames and had tried to save her children, but was overcome. But the evidence told a different story. Accelerants were found throughout the house, confirming the fire was intentionally set. And the poison plot against her husband now cast her in an even more sinister light. Was she capable of not only trying to kill her husband, but also sacrificing her own children? The trial of Dr. Deborah Green was a media sensation. The prosecution portrayed her as a cold, manipulative, and narcissistic woman driven by jealousy and revenge. They argued that she set the fire to destroy the evidence of her financial misdeeds and to punish her husband in the most cruel way imaginable. By taking away their children, her affairs, her lies, and the calculated poisoning of her husband were all laid bare for the jury to see. The defense, on the other hand, argued that Deborah was a victim herself, a mentally fragile woman pushed to the brink by an abusive husband and the immense pressure of her life falling apart. They claimed she was not in her right mind and could not be held fully responsible for her actions. But the weight of the evidence was overwhelming. The purchases, the internet searches, the pattern of escalation from petty revenge to deadly arson all pointed to a deliberate and heinous act. In the end, to avoid the death penalty, Deborah Green pleaded no contest to 2 counts of capital murder, 1 count of attempted murder, and 1 count of arson. She was sentenced to 2 consecutive 40-year life sentences. The woman who once had it all, a brilliant career, a beautiful family, a life of luxury, would spend the rest of her days behind bars. The case of Deborah Green serves as a chilling reminder that evil can lurk behind the most successful and respectable facades, and that obsession, when left unchecked, can lead to unspeakable darkness. Thank you for watching, and be sure to subscribe for more true crime stories.